Alrighty guys, so it's been probably the longest day of my entire life today, in so much of the sense that I got up at like 8 in the morning. It is presently 9 p.m. I've been running all day, having a lot of fun. Ever been hunting for morel mushrooms? If you live in my part of the world, maybe. If you're from super far away, probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm really bad at it, but I've been doing it all day. Also, I had a calzone the size of my head, so that was sweet. But we're not here to talk about that. Let's talk about the next episode of the Forgotten Race Review. Today, at the request of, boom, a man who seems to often have his request left in the dust as you patrons go patron sniping. Oh, Christopher DeCastro requests we crack open Blood of Angels. Let's talk about the Archon Blooded Aasimar. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, do remember to like, subscribe, and ding that bell for all of your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content. And remember that patronage at any tier gets your request to the top of a very, very long line. Hey, speaking of patronage, today, this episode of the Forgotten Race Review was brought to you in part by our newest patron, none other than Braxton. Actually, fun fact, we've had 2 new patrons come up, so Wednesdays is going to be a new patron shout out to. In any case, my friend, thank you for your support. If I had 1 million people pledge $1, I'd own a lot of Pathfinder minis, wouldn't I? Yeah, I know how to spend money. Anyway, let's dive in. All right, so the quick TLDR, if you are unsure what an Aasimar is, if you missed that boat somewhere, follow this card right up here. I will give you some more. But an Aasimar, by and large, is a humanoid. At some point, they got celestial blood on their family tree, and, well, they popped out a little better, a little shinier, a little fancier than whatever it is they sprung from. The Archon Blooded Aasimar, much like the Perrykin, much like the Angelkin that we've already covered here on the channel, comes from a very specific set of good aligned outsiders. But what exactly is an Archon? They are in fact a race of Celestials native to heaven who embody fundamental goodness and law, forming the mainstay of heaven's army against the Abyss, Abaddon, and Hell. Of course, they're also the protectors of good and innocence. I am a pretty big fan, have done this a couple times in my games, of having a war hit a city and the party comes upon a poor boy who's, well, their pet dog has unfortunately caught a stray arrow and is no longer with us. And it's really sad and it grabs everybody's attention. And then the next day, well, doggies come back. Then the dog looks at the party and winks. And of course, it's a hound Archon in dog form who has taken it upon themselves to watch over this wee babby child. Of course, they prefer to motivate mortals to acts of virtue and honor, reasoning that when the next threat comes, we mortals will be better prepared to combat it ourselves. And it is not unheard of for an Archon to disguise themselves as a goodly knight in order to write the legend of that goodly knight to inspire humanoid kind. And of course, that translates 1-to-1, by and large, into their offspring, the Lawbringers. Lawbringers often reflect the patience of their ancestors in their daily lives, understanding the need for rules and routines, and use that discipline to train in their chosen field as they seek to do good across the world. They develop their talents faster than most of their peers and show exceptional skill at whatever they try to do, basically. Jack of all trades and master of most, as long as they're actively trying to do it. Now, let's talk about what the character sheet looks like. Of course, this will sort of look like an Aasimar. This is a variant on the race. You're still a medium native outsider with a base speed of 30 feet, dark vision out to 60 feet, still have acid, cold, and electricity resistance 5. We replace our ability score modifiers. This time, our Archon Blooded Aasimar receives a +2 to its Constitution and its Wisdom. It gains a +2 racial bonus on Intimidate and Sense Motive checks, and gains Continual Flame as a spell-like ability, which is really good. You know, permanent light source as a standard action, yeah, that's really strong. Certainly much better than just light, in and of the fact that you can tag the Paladin's longsword, it is now glowing. I know this because the only Aasimar I've ever played in my entire career was an Archon Blooded Aasimar. I played said Aasimar over at the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and I recorded a one-shot for them. And here in 2019, I'm not ashamed to say that I may or may not have botched that recording, as I was living with my father at the time, and wasn't brave enough as a wee baby YouTuber to go talk to my baby boomer father and tell him, "Hey Dad, I'm trying to do something with my life. Can you please turn your TV down while I'm recording?" And so that recording was hecked on, and is a testament to Kane's ability to edit. Let me tell you what, that it got done. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Magnus Wulfricsson. Yeah, he was a magus. Yeah, his name was Magnus. Get over it. It's not funny. It's kind of funny. Stop it. Stop it. Go away. Don't laugh at me. I chose this race well before the Ganzi had the ties to the Einherjar, and I don't really like that tie also. I know we're not here to strictly talk about it, but the Einherjar and the Valkyrie are not chaotic neutral. Norse mythology does not paint them in that way. Definitely 100%, I think the guys who are training for the inevitable last battle, or the women who travel the multiverse finding worthy souls to ascend into outsiderhood, yeah, no, there's nothing chaotic neutral about that. Rant over. I chose this race because it felt the most like an Einherjar in training. Someone who picks a thing to do and is really good at it. In my case, it was casting Shocking Grasp into an Earthbreaker because it feels pretty Thorish, am I right? Slamming it into people for loads of d6 of damage, and mechanically on a 20-point buy, a +2 to 2 stats that, strictly speaking, the Magus doesn't really need to function is really nice because it helps pad a stat that typically would be lower for you. No one says boo to +1 hit point per level, +1 to fortitude saves, +1 to will saves, +1 to perception checks, +1 to sense motive checks. These are 2 of the 3 most powerful ability scores in the game. To say nothing of the +2 to sense motive tacked on top, right? Really good. Now, Kane, he GM'd that one shot, and it was a lot of fun, and that's where I learned that my spell-like ability, Continual Flame, had a 50 GP material cost. How fortunate for our Archon-blooded brethren here that a spell-like ability has no verbal, somatic, or material component, nor does it require a focus, so you can make something permanently shed light for no charge. Really good when you're in a party with an elf and a human, both of which, can't see in the dark when you're storming a mansion. Now, GMing for this race, now that I've gone on forever about how fun that one shot was, actually, the IOPC, they just went over 500 subscribers, and they will be doing a one-shot, I'm pretty sure, sometime in the near future. If you want to catch up on that old game that I did with my friends, follow this card right up here. It was a lot of fun. GMing for these guys, it kind of comes back around to that. Just because you have the instinct of an outsider in you, and remember, you're not a humanoid, that doesn't necessarily mean you must follow it to the letter. It's ironic, isn't it? How someone who repeats the same task over and over again, because that feeling of repetition and order feels really good to them, might, without realizing what they're doing over time, slip into some bad habits, keep doing a thing even though the people around you are suffering for it. Maybe they're even at fault, Maybe they need to try harder. That proverbial get good, and then you're evil. I think that's the kind of story I'd want to put before anybody whose bloodline says I must be the very best. Right? Of course, you gotta. Tropes are fun. Tropes are tropes for a reason. They are also made to be broken. But that, my friends, is neither here nor there. What do you think about the Archon-blooded Aasimar? Aasimars as a whole. The struggle of cosmic good versus cosmic evil. The art of putting a rune, the spell-storing enchantment, onto an Earthbreaker, then casting Shocking Grasp and hitting someone in your Shocking Grasp and the spell-storing Shocking Grasp and your 2d6 Earthbreaker hits a dude and they explode. That's fun, right? That's good role-playing. Role-playing the dead. I love it. Let me know how you feel about this video and this race down there in the comments. We'll keep that conversation going. As always, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Next week on the Forgotten Race Review, we're doing another first-party Paizo race that I'm kind of weirdly surprised it took almost 100 episodes to get down to, because they're so iconic. We love to fight them. I love to play them. I think they're really powerful. but I'm spoiling a little, aren't I? Yeah, next week it's all about the orc. See you then.